All right, we are off the heels of an event in the UFC Apex. UFC Vegas 43 was over the weekend, and in the co-main event, remaining undefeated welterweight Sean Brady got the win over Michael Chieasa, and Sean Brady joins us now. Sean, how are you feeling, good sir?
I'm good, man. I'm back in Philadelphia. I'm home after a long week, and I'm feeling good. So, not the best performance from myself. You know, I expected a lot more, but some things happened in the fight. I had to adjust, and I did that, and I got the win, and that's what matters most, I guess.
All right, so let's talk about the fight itself. I got a ton of questions for you. First,
For sure.
the two eye pokes, how bad were they?
So the second one was worse. It actually got me in like both of my eyes. And when he poked me, it scratched me too. And it actually cut me. And I got
Hmm.
like a little bit of glue on my eye. And that's like more what I was worried about when I was in the corner. I just asked the doctor, I'm like, hey, like, how bad is the cut? Because I can't see it. And they're like, it might need like a stitch. I'm like, all right, like I don't care. Like obviously I want to continue to fight. But that really didn't bother me that much. What really bothered me is I broke my nose 2 times within like my career, just like normal, whatever. I like one of my title fights I had, I was getting ready to, I was 7 weeks out. I was going for a Kimura on a guy, and he actually tried to buck me off of him. And when he tried to do it, his knee came up and mashed my nose. So
Hmm.
I always have problems when I get touched in my nose, it bleeds. So Chiesa hit me with a good cross, and I think it was like 3 minutes into the fight, and I had so much blood in my mouth for the rest of the fight. It felt like I couldn't breathe. So I had to improvise, and that really threw me off. And it just made it kind of hard to do any. I mean, from I listen to your show all the time. From what it sounds like, you train. So if you can't breathe, it's very hard to do something. So that really threw me off. But yeah, I had so much blood in my mouth; it was just pouring down my throat. So yeah, that
Yeah.
sucked.
Well, see, I'm old now, but I did train in my 20s and 30s. So for folks who may not understand, the blood is coming back here. You don't want to open your mouth to get more air because that makes you more
Yeah.
susceptible to the knockout, right?
Yeah, and the blood is literally just pouring in the back of your throat. So while you're trying to breathe, you're choking on like you're trying to swallow blood at the same time. Like I'm actually going to get my nose fixed this time around. The UFC's setting it up for me that I can get it cauterized and get some other stuff done, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. So it's something I've needed to do it for a while, and I just never did it.
When he touched your nose, because the cut under your left eye is different. When he touched your nose, was that right before you actually made your first contact in the first round? Because once you
Yes.
got it, I noticed there was smears all over the
Yep.
back of Chiesa. That was out. What did he hit you
And
with?
just like a straight left, and it didn't hurt. It just hit me. Like I can literally, I'll be sparring sometimes, and I'll get cracked, and then nothing will happen. And then other times I'll get brushed, and my nose will start bleeding. So he hit me, and then I think I took him down, and then I had a body lock, and my nose. I looked at his back, and there was just so much blood on his back, and I was like, shit, my nose is bleeding bad.
Hmm.
So, and then that's when I started just like inhaling blood. I'm like, fuck, this is rough.
Yeah, and of course, for other folks who may not know, you can't blow your nose because then it will blow up your eye sockets, and then you can't see, and then they'll
Yeah.
call the fight, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a shitty situation, but it is what it is, man. It's fighting.
Okay. So here's what kind of surprised me. My thought going into this fight was I thought it would be whoever could really dominate on the ground and that it would be a pitched battle. And that
Yeah.
turned out to not be true. What turned out to be true was
Yeah.
you had this significant advantage on the ground. Were you surprised by that?
No, I wasn't. Only thing that really surprised he did well keeping me at range with his lead hand. It was just like I I have really good striking, and I've strike with Paul Felder and all these great guys. And in the room, I do extremely well. And I was just having a hard time timing him, especially after my nose. So that's when I really laid on the grapple. And I'm like, once I took him down the first time, I knew I could take him down and control him. I think I had over 7 minutes of control time or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. I know once I had his back in the second, I had that body lock, and he did a really good job of controlling my hands. So even though I had his back, I couldn't get my arm across. Like he's a vet, he knows what he's doing. So he made it tough, but Yeah, grappling, I knew I would have the advantage, and I didn't expect him to be as easy as he was for me to take down. It was relatively easy.
Still on the ground, you mentioned he had good hand control.
Yeah.
Do you always hunt the back? Because it looked like in the other fights, maybe opponents gave their back to the mat, and so that wasn't necessarily what you were up against. But against Chiesa, it looked like it was takedown, move to the back right away. Was that the plan always, or was that an adjustment because of your nose?
It was an adjustment, but he was turtling up, so he was giving. I'd rather have like top half guard, top side control. Like those are like two of my more favorite positions. But he kept turtling, so I was like, if he's gonna turtle, I'm gonna take the back. And I was playing. I expected more like front headlock positions, but I stayed on his back pretty good. So I'm like, I'm just gonna take what he's giving me, and he kept giving me the back. So it worked out.
Bro, there was one sequence where you were trying to take him down, and then he tries to hit a switch, and then you
Yeah,
stuff the arm and you come right
yeah,
around to the back.
yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
I mean, Michael Chiesa is not weak.
yeah, yeah.
I know that's
No,
technique too, but you got to be strong as fuck to pull that off.
dude, and that's what he was saying because him and Paul Felder are super close, and me and Paul are super close. So I guess Paul must have told him like how strong I am. And after I took him down the first time, he was like, "Fuck, man, like Paul was in line. You really are strong." And we like laughed for a second, and we just kept fighting. But grappling, like, man, I'm just so good in those positions, and like in my gym, like we do those positions over and over, and we grapple against the wall, we hit the ground, we go up and down so much. So I knew if we were in those ties, I'd win them, and
Hmm.
that's kind of how. And luckily, I'm so good in those positions because that's what won me the fight.
When you went to the back, there was two different scenarios that were common in this fight. One was you would have one hook in and you would extend his foot out with yours
Yeah,
so he couldn't
yeah,
post. The other one,
yep,
though, by the third round, you were able to get both hooks in. Serious
yeah.
question. In terms of ground and pound and like where you can actually do your best offense, do you prefer where you're the sandwich between the fence or full on back control in MMA?
Um, for from the back, like for ground and pound, I would rather have him out once, and he did a good job at not doing that. So it's hard when he was like on top of me to really even get ground and pound. I was trying to search for the neck from the back, unless I have like a gift wrap. I really don't even go for ground and pound because it's hard from the back. So I like to do more ground and pound from the top. Like when I had that when I laced his leg so he couldn't get up, I like hitting from there, and usually they'll go to their back, and then I'll be in like top side control or top half guard, and I can punch from there. But he just kept giving the back, and he was doing a good job controlling my hand, so he made it hard to even ground and pound, honestly.
Yeah. On the feet, what was interesting to me, and this is the other part I got wrong. I thought you were going to have your way with him on the feet, quite
I
candidly. I
thought
thought
I thought so too.
yeah. Well, here, credit to him. There was a couple things I noticed. One was he was constantly touching your lead
Yeah,
hand, right? So you couldn't get the
yeah,
jab going because you had
yeah,
orthodox versus southpaw. The other
yeah.
one, then, though, was did his hand speed surprise you at all? It looked like some of the straights that came down you didn't see coming. That's why I was wondering about the eyesight.
Yeah, he did a good job. Like I watched so much film on him. He would circle to my right, so I guess to his left, and he'll like kind of like try to lead you in, and then he'll lead with his left hand, and he caught me with it a couple good times, but I just couldn't find my range. Like it was weird. Like fighting and training, it's so different. Like I've talked to other fighters about it. It's like it doesn't feel it's just different in there. Like unless you fought, like it's hard to explain.
Hmm.
I just couldn't feel like I could find my range. And he's tall and he's a southpaw, so that's two things that are hard to deal with already. I was expecting him to come in more, and I'd be able to hit him with like more left hooks, and I just expected something different. But yeah, I had to improvise and grapple and get the win. I thought I'd be able to hit him with a lot better shots, but yeah, it is what
So,
it is.
in your mind, when you grade your performance for good and for bad, what would you say?
Man, I watched the fight on the airplane going home. Before that, I felt horrible about it. I was like so mad at myself, and I'm still mad at myself. But going back and watching it, I'm like, oh, it wasn't that bad. Like there's things I could have done better, but there's things I did good. You know, I took him down 5 times. I took him down and controlled him. I had even the third round, I had like almost 3 minutes of back control. And then he got out and he got a good takedown. And then like the last minute wasn't good for me, but before that it was pretty good. So in my mind, I'd give myself like a almost like a C, if that. I'm not happy with it, you know. And that's the thing about fighting. We do all this training, we do all this, and you only have 15 minutes to show. So if you don't show your best performance, it is what it is. You got to wait until the next time you do it. So I'm not super happy about it, but I'm happy I got the win. And I had 8 months off. I was having a hard time getting a fight. I got the Kevin Lee fight. He got hurt. We rebooked it. I got a staph infection. I was in the hospital for a week. Then I was on IV antibiotics for 4 weeks after that with a PICC line in my arm. They called me with the Michael Chieas fight. We were 11 weeks away. I still wasn't even cleared to train. My incision on my foot was so bad. They took the sutures out, the stitches, and it still had to heal from the inside out. So 10 weeks out, I wasn't even training yet. But it was such a big opportunity. I'm like, yes. So I took it, and don't get me wrong, I was able to train, but I was wearing a wrestling shoe and wrapping my foot the entire time because I couldn't say no to that fight. So I had to improvise.
Were you at all worried when the infection was as bad as it was that it might have an effect on your career?
I thought I was gonna lose my foot at one point. My fiance is a nurse and my mom, they're both nurses, and it was a Tuesday and I was on antibiotics already, and we thought it would be getting better by this time. They were both at work. They work at the same hospital. I sent them a video of my leg, and my foot was pitting so bad I could stick my whole finger in it. They're like, you need to come to the hospital right now. Every time I would get up, I don't know, like all the pressure would run to my foot. It felt like my foot was so swollen at a point. It felt like my foot was going to explode. Like my skin was like stretching so bad. So, man, it took so long for my foot to heal from that. I like the scar. I'll send you a picture when we're done of how bad my scar still looks. I had a scab on my cut until a week ago. It took that long for it to fully close. So it was bad because the infection got into my ankle joint and into my tendon. So that's why they said I had so much pain. And once they told me that, they did surgery the next day because they're like, we need to take care of this like right now. And then after that, I had the PICC line. I had to get IV antibiotics at 6 a.m., 2 p.m., and 10 p.m. for 4 weeks after that. I wasn't allowed to sweat, wasn't allowed to work out, but I'm in my basement now. I have like an Airdyne and I have other stuff. So I started like easing my way into it. And then I was trying to not let my fiance know because she would be pissed at me. And then she's like, I know what you're doing, you know? But yeah, it was rough. It was at a point I wasn't even worried about fighting. I was worried about me not being able to ever walk again. Like I thought I was going to lose my foot. So It was bad. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you begin to trust your cardio again?
Man, cardio's never been like a problem for me. I run like a boxer. I run almost 5 times a week. I was running. The only thing that kind of wasn't, I just started running maybe, I was 10 weeks out when I did my first 5-mile run, and it was like a decent pace, and I was all right with it. I wore a wrestling shoe the entire training camp up until 2 weeks out. So wrestling shoes give you a weird grip on the mat. So I didn't start getting the sensation of like my foot being even on the mat until we were 2 weeks ago, because I didn't want to expose my my cut, even though it was almost completely closed. There was still a little scab on it. Like I'm so scared for that to happen again. Like I put like a defense soap, like a foam all over my entire body before I go on the mats now, because I'm terrified to have any. I've never had a staph infection, and the first time I get it, that's what happened to me. So I never want that to happen again.
I was going to ask you about that. Have you ever had staph again? Because I've seen lots of staph, but like
Never.
your case or like King Mo, those are pretty rare.
Yeah, and it's crazy. it's happening a lot in gyms right now. I don't know, like there was an outbreak in my gym, and then I like all these other guys I know, they're like, dude, it's going around all of our gyms. So I
Hmm.
don't know what's going on, but it's bad this year. And I know a bunch of guys who got it, but I got it and I got it the absolute worst. I had a small little cut on my foot from training. I hit it on something and I got a cut. And literally the next day for sparring, I sparred and I'm like, man, my ankle's kind of sore. By Tuesday, I was in the hospital. That's how fast it
Wow.
happened.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
So
All right. Well, getting back
yeah,
to the fight, when you spoke to your coaches afterwards, what did they tell you? What did they see?
they were happy. They were like, listen, there are some things you didn't do right. Um, I was staying in range too much. Like I would try to hit, and he's a lot longer than me, and I was just staying at his range, and that's why I got caught a couple of times. But outside of that, they're like, listen, Kess is super tough. He has 5 times the UFC experience that I do, and they're like, listen, you're going to have tough fights, and this is one of them. And they were proud of me, and they just told me not to be so hard on myself. But I if I have a bad round sparring, I'll think about it for 3 days afterwards. You know, that's just the kind of guy I am. I want to be the best at what I'm doing. I don't even want to lose a round in the gym, you know. So I'm super hard on myself, but they were pretty happy.
Did the matchmakers talk to you at all?
No, my manager talked to Sean Shelby, and he said it was a good win. I mean, they weren't blown away by my performance, but neither was I. You know, that's not even a tenth of what I can do. So the win, it's good, but I'm not satisfied with it. You know, it's cool. I'll be ranked probably in the top 10 tomorrow, I'm sure, but yeah, it's not how I want to perform, and next time will be better.
Well, so let me ask about your nose and then your next fight at the same time.
Yeah.
A, when would you like to fight again? And B, to what extent does healing the nose impact that?
So as far as I know, I'm getting an X-ray tomorrow of my nose to see where we go from there. And from what I know, I think the recovery on like getting it like cauterized or however you say it is only a few weeks. So
Hmm.
it shouldn't be, unless like they go in there and like there's something more that needs to be done. I'd like to fight by like March, April. You know, work on some things. I know you guys are super high on Boots, Jaron Ennis. That's my boxing coach, him and his dad.
No
And
way.
yeah. And this last camp, I didn't train with them because Boots had that big fight, and I didn't want to bother him. And he hit me up after the fight. He's like, bro, like, you know, his dad is like, yo, you know, my pop would take care of you. Like, so I know he's got some time, so I'm going to actually get back in the gym with him this week. He used to hold pads for me when he was a teenager, and then
Wow.
he turned pro, and he fought so much, he didn't have time to do it. So I'd work with his dad and all the other guys down the gym, but he holds pads for me. Like when my 2 Kevin Lee camps, I was with him at least 3 times a week down the gym. So this was the only camp I wasn't with him, and it kind of sucks because I mean it's probably a good thing I didn't get to show up my hands. They would have been pissed off at me. But I'll be back down with him this week, and yeah, we'll get things right.
Bro, it's amazing. Philadelphia. Like, I like to hate on Philly a little bit only because I'm in DC. And so
Yeah,
our sports teams are
yeah,
rivals.
yeah, yeah,
But dude, I mean, you just got to call it what it is on the boxing and now the MMA side. What
yeah.
is going on in Philly that they just are awesome at producing fighters?
Man, before it was Eddie, it was Alvarez, and that's kind of all we had. Obviously, we had boxers, and then Paul came along, and Paul was from my team. But now, like out of just my gym, it's me, Andre Petrosky, Jeremiah Wells, and Pat Sabatini, who just fought on the same card as me.
He's a fucking beast too.
We have 4 guys just in my gym, and then there's the Dawkins brothers. They're in Philly, and there's guys just in PA too. So it's crazy. And then Boots, that last fight, that kid, he is. I'm telling you, I'll watch him hit pads, and it's legit terrifying how he goes from southpaw to orthodox, and how seamless it is, and how hard he hits. And he's not even. I think he's 25. He's not even a man yet. It's terrifying. So he's the next big thing. But as far
Yeah.
as MMA, we got some good things MMA too. So Philly's kind of coming into its own. But you're right though. Like I'm from Philly, and Eddie Alvarez, when he won the belt, he came home and he didn't have shit. Like no one did shit for him. Like they had a party for him at like a Chicky and Pete's. Like we don't know how to celebrate our own. So hopefully that will change because we got some good things going on.
You really do. It's unbelievable how impressive the new crop of Philly fighters are in boxing and in MMA. And you're right.
Yeah.
Jaron Ennis he's going to make some real good fighters look real bad in the next few
Yeah.
years. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing it.
He's special, man. And it's the kind of like, no one will give him none of these guys are going to give him the chance, but eventually someone's going to have to. And once they do, it's done from there.
All right, let's transition to something a little bit lighter if we can. It's something that I really admire about what's going on with you. You got a lot of tattoos, and I love them, and I especially love the Japanese work. So let's talk through this, because I looked at some old pictures of you, and I noticed you had like the chest tattoo, and I think some work on your right arm, the black and gray I see over there.
Yeah.
But the Japanese stuff, it looks like it's come a little bit later. First of all, if you want to shout out who you get your work with, you can. But like, talk to me about your tattoo evolution.
So I started off traditional, like with just black and gray. And it wasn't until I started getting my Hanya on my back where I realized how much I love Japanese. Like, obviously, you can, all my t-shirts, like all my stuff, I'm obsessed with Japanese now. And it kind of sucks that I had like this sleeve already done and some other work to where I had to work around it. Like even on my back, I had my first tattoo was my family crest. So when he was doing the Hanya, he had to put my horn through it and kind of put that weird box around it. So I had to like build around some stuff, but like I'm actually getting most of this arm lasered off and the bottom of my right leg lasered off so I can get it covered in all Japanese. And even like the letters, it says like Irish Pride.
Yes.
That's staying, but my guy, Matt Landon, he did my whole sleeve and he's doing a lot of my Japanese now. He just kind of built like the traditional like bars and the clouds around it. That's staying, but anything that's not Japanese, it's getting lightened up and it's getting covered with Japanese. So I'm obsessed.
Are you going to do the full suit?
Yeah, that's what I'm working towards. The only thing that are like my buddy who did my whole left leg's a dragon, and his name's Chris Dimitri. He did this. It's like just like a Greek god and like a Medusa on the back of my arm. That's staying. But outside of that, like all this like black and gray, this is all getting lightened up and it's getting covered. I have a big samurai on my right leg that I just got done before my last fight. I got to get like I got like a mask and some stuff on the bottom of my right leg to get lasered. So it's going to take a while, but it's going to be all Japanese. So
what's the longest you've sat in one session?
Like 8 hours.
I'm 7. 7 is my max.
Dude.
It's bad.
If I can do minimum 3 hours, it's brutal. I have a you know the food like the Raijin and the Fujin are the Japanese. Yes. I have a Fujin on my left butt. I have it all outlined. I have it outlined, and there's like there's wind and there's like thunder going through it. I'm getting it all shaded on Wednesday. So that's my tattoo guy won't finish anything else until we finish that. So I got some pain coming my way on Wednesday.
The guy who did my forearm, his entire stomach and both legs were done tabori, where they just needle you for an hour. He actually went to Japan to get it done.
Yeah, I know you talked about
it's excruciating.
I know you talked about Dylan Dennis. I know whatever about him, but his sleeve is done by. I'm pretty sure his is tabori, and his is done amazing, and it's by a guy.
Excellent.
It's like really, really good. And I'm pretty sure that I might be wrong, but my coach Daniel Gracie knows the guy in New York who did that. And I'm pretty sure it's tabori. And that's like spot. New York has some of the best tattoo guys for Japanese in the world.
Philly actually has some good artists as well. Your guy, like, does he make you pay full price or like, how's that work?
So a few of them I've had like sponsors. My leg sleeve, I traded jiu-jitsu privates for tattoo work. But the guy who's doing most of my work now, Matt Landon, he did like my hand. He did this the tiger and this dragon. He's doing all my stuff now. He charges me, but it's actually not bad. $150 an hour for he's like the best guy in Philly for Japanese work, and for $150 an hour, I can't complain.
No, it's clean. The line work is clean. The shading is clean. The authenticity is clean. Like those are solid tattoos, man.
Thank you. Yes, he's good, man.
Well, I gotta say, dude, like this is great. I mean, I know it wasn't the win you expected necessarily, but it was a win. If you get your shit fixed, you got to feel excited about what's next. Now, I know you mentioned the Belal Muhammad's Wonderboy Thompson winner.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you're a little more up in the air about who it might actually be.
Yeah, because I have no idea. I guess we'll see where I land in the rankings tomorrow. I think I'll probably land around like 8 or 9. I don't think I'm just going to take Chiesa's spot. That's usually not how it works. But there's a lot of guys in the division. You know, me and Belal were supposed to fight before, and I had a fracture in my one leg, so I had to pull out of the fight. So that's kind of a fight I'd like to get. Wonder Boy, there's so many opportunities now, so it's going to be fun to see where it lands. You know, and that was my 5th UFC fight. I'm doing pretty good for being 5-0 in the UFC and being ranked in the top 10. That's pretty good to me. So I guess I'm on the right track.
No, you're on the right track. You just got to get some things in your nose cleaned up and whatever else, but you'll be good to go. Hey man, I know you got to run. I appreciate your time. If I'm ever in Philadelphia, direct me to a good tattoo shop, man. I'm in the market for one.
Dude, hit me up. I'm a huge fan of the show, of you and Brian. I listen to your guys' show literally every week, and thank you for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, this won't be the last time. Congrats on the win. We'll talk soon.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it, Luke.
Yep.